All right, boys and girls, several of you have asked how this Ducati Hypermotard 698 would hold up on highway conditions and for long trips. We're going to take her out for a 200-mile ride right now and report back. Let's do work. We do motorcycles, Mustangs, and man stuff here, so if you feel the vibe and you'd like to join the tribe, then hit that subscribe to keep the dream alive.
And please shop my Amazon storefront for the coolest stuff you've ever seen. I love you guys.
Hey there, fellow riders. Today we're diving deep into the exhilarating world of the 698 Mono, but before we hit the road, a quick top-line reminder of specs that make this bike a true powerhouse on two wheels. The Hypermotard 698 boasts a lightweight design, tipping the scales at just 350 pounds wet, but don't let its size fool you. Under the hood, it packs a punch with 78 horsepower of raw adrenaline-inducing power and 47 pound-feet of torque to match. And when you combine those numbers, the physics are awesome. By the way, if you want to look at the height and weight and whether or not you're the right size for this bike, I'll link a video of my 698 size review at the end of this video. A quick note about this ride, it is 100 miles in 2 hours up to my mother's house and then another 100 miles back, mostly on Interstate 95, one of the most dangerous highways, which often has stretches with no shoulders or places to stop. It goes around corners with high-speed bridges and through cities and will throw everything at you. For comparison, I've made this trip on my Ducati Diavel, my Ducati Monster 937, my Hypermotard 950, my Street Fighter V4S, and my Multistrada V4S, so I've got a lot of bikes for comparison on this mini cannonball run. Now that we've got the technical details out of the way, let's talk about what really matters, the riding experience. Highway riding on the Hypermotard is a thrill like no other. With its powerful engine and agile handling, this bike comes alive on the open road, but not without a couple of caveats, and we'll get into that in a New York minute. The first thing you'll notice is this bike has more than enough power and performance for as long as a highway ride as you can handle. Twist that throttle and the Hypermotard responds with a surge of power that propels you forward with an exhilarating force all the way to redline, which is amazingly 10,500 RPM on this single-cylinder beast. It doesn't throw you back like the Hyper 950, which is an insane bike by the way, but with its lightweight, it pulls and never stops pulling, and you can contend with any passing situation or maneuvering you need to on the highway. As we cruise down the highway, the wind rushing past us, the Hypermotard's aerodynamic design cuts through the air, allowing us to effortlessly slice through traffic and carve our own path forward. But keep in mind, this skinniness and lightweight will feel less stable at high acceleration and speeds. Notice I said feel less stable. The bike is planted, but what I mean is it's so lightweight, you'll feel like you're about to take off into flight. It's not like my 240 horsepower Street Fighter, of course, which is stable at 200 miles an hour, as long as you're completely tucked in at least, and one with the bike. The 698 Mono is light, and you're gonna feel that under hard acceleration and with highway speed winds. Next up, let's talk about comfort. Despite its sporty demeanor, the Hypermotard surprises with its ergonomic seating position. It's not like a sports bike where your back is going to sue you for negligence. The upright riding stance on the 698 keeps you comfortable and in control for hours on end, allowing you to tackle long stretches of highway without feeling fatigued, unless you like to travel in Mexico at higher speeds, and we'll get to that in a sec. But perhaps the most exhilarating part of highway riding on the 698 is the sense of freedom it provides. With its lightweight frame and agile handling, you're free to explore every twist and turn with confidence and precision. It's a feeling like no other, a symphony of power, speed, and adrenaline that leaves you craving more with each passing mile. And speaking of freedom, check out these words of wisdom from John 14:6. Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." You guys rock for listening to my scripture. Thank you. I rode everything from stop-and-go traffic to a quick little jolt to 100 miles per hour in Mexico, and riding along with fast traffic at an average of 75 to 80 miles per hour for 2 hours. I personally was unfazed. But be advised, without a windscreen, the wind is fierce at those speeds and feels like resting a 25-pound weight across your upper chest, helmet, and shoulders the whole time. That will cause fatigue over time, but you can battle that by varying your speeds and stopping once in a while at highway stops to stretch your legs, grab a bite to eat, use the restroom, send some all-important texts, and then hop back on your Italian steed for more adventure.
Gotta get out and stretch those legs. It is freezing here in the Northeast. All right, let's get back to it.
As you can see here, even in the midst of stop-and-go traffic, the Hypermotard shines. Probably more than any other bike I've ever owned. Its nimble handling and responsive throttle make maneuvering through congested roads a breeze, and it'll turn your daily commute into a fun adventure. As you can see here, unlike bigger bikes, the 698 can actually be fun in stop-and-go traffic as I zigzag back and forth here to entertain myself at low speeds. The bike is so lightweight, it feels like it's holding itself up. It's very stable and maneuvering is literally effortless. And of course, I have the agility and power to get out of the way if someone comes barreling up behind me. Also, by the way, splitting traffic where legal, unlike Connecticut and New York, is a breeze with this skinny but tall bike, which allows you to see above the cars but be slender enough to cut through even the tiniest squeezes. You guys in lane-splitting states and countries have it made. On the 698 Mono, this 200-mile trip was less like a trip and more like an adventure, and with the wind blowing on me full time, just like it did on my 950 Diavol and Street Fighter, I got a good workout, which is a silver lining technically. Unlike my Multistrada V4S, which pampered me with adaptive cruise control, heated and cooled seats, and the stability of a cruise ship, on the 698 I was definitely more engaged with the ride, actively varying my speeds and RPM to occasionally give myself some relaxation time between bursts of adrenaline-fueled redlining. I felt, I don't know, more playful on this bike, more entertained, and definitely more capable to move out of the way quickly if something happens. So would I recommend this bike for long trips over 200 miles? Yes and no. Yes, if there are a lot of twisties and back roads, definitely, and no if it's all highway. Like any other bike without a windscreen, you're going to be fatigued with all the wind pressure, although you can lean into it a bit to help alleviate some of that pressure. My butt wasn't sore at the end of this trip, even though the seat is narrower and less plush than my Street Fighter, which is surprisingly one of the more comfiest seats I've ever had. On the 698, I actually expected bottom soreness, and I was pleasantly surprised there wasn't any, other than the slight discomfort of all such rides where I didn't stop much along the way. Now, to answer one of my subscribers, would I recommend this bike for a commute to work, even up to 45 minutes or an hour? Yes, especially if you can take some back roads where this bike shines brighter. And even if your commute is highway-based, you're going to be taking an 8-hour break for work anyway before you ride home, so it's totally fine for a long work commute. Let's compare the Hypermotard to a heavier cruiser motorcycle in terms of highway riding. While cruisers may offer a more relaxed riding position and greater wind protection, they often lack the agility and responsiveness of a bike like a Hypermotard. In stop-and-go traffic, the Hypermotard's lightweight design makes maneuvering effortless and entertaining, allowing you to weave throughout traffic with ease. Unlike a heavy cruiser, which can be cantankerous to deal with at low speeds and lacks the finesse for slow-speed emergency maneuvers. So it's a trade-off either way. You want comfort? Get a cruiser. You want an adventure? Take your 698. Okay, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to discuss some more pros and cons of the Ducati Hypermotard 698. Starting with the pros, the Hypermotard offers exhilarating performance, agile handling, and surprising comfort for a bike of its class. Its lightweight design makes it a joy to ride in both city and traffic and on the open highway, and when you get to the back roads, the most fun begins. On the flip side, the lack of wind protection can make highway riding a bit more challenging, especially at higher speeds. Just like any other light bike, you will get moved around more with the wind, so definitely pass those semi-trucks instead of following them. And additionally, while the upright riding position is comfortable for shorter trips, it may become more fatiguing on longer journeys, as a sustained 70 miles per hour on your head, upper chest, and shoulders gives you quite a workout. So what's the final verdict on highway riding with the 698? Well, it's nothing short of exhilarating. From its powerful engine to its agile handling and surprising comfort, it's a bike that's sure to leave a lasting impression on any rider fortunate enough to experience it. You're just going to need some level of fitness or get ready to be tired after all that wind buffeting, or on the bright side, if you need exercise, this is a good way to do it, as that constant wind pressure is going to make your muscles work. I guess the ultimate question is, will I make that 200-mile trip again to my mom's house on the 698 Mono? Yes, I would.
All right, 200 miles later, I gotta say, this bike has delivered. It has delivered the fun, the excitement, the adventure. I gotta say that my butt is no more sore than it was on my Diavol or any of the other bikes that I made this 200-mile run with. And that's a good thing. Loving this bike so far. All right, boys and girls, always remember the motto, always be kinder than necessary, and I will see you in the next one.
I love you guys.